Welcome to Galactic Cruise. So what are you looking at? We got a victory point track, round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. The goal of the game is, you guessed it, victory points. You're going to get victory points basically by acquiring ships. We start with one ship as is, but acquiring ships, adding blueprints, which turn into segments or modules, I'll use that term interchangeably, and bring on schedule cruises, just like your favorite Disney cruise director. Bring on passengers, hopefully matching the types of events that they want during their cruise, launching them, scoring points. That's kind of it in a nutshell. There's also some company goals, because we're all vying to be the next CEO for Galactic Cruise. Excuse me. So it is an action selection game. So over an indeterminate number of rounds, we are going to take turns placing workers from our board out here into these spaces. So in between these actions, we're going to take actions and then go to the next player's turn, so on and so forth. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, big picture. But now let's talk about a little bit more specific. Already talked about the victory points. We have the additional ships that you're going to be able to acquire. You have the blueprints, which are the modules and the events that the tourists will go on when you launch these ships. We have some of the resources. There are effectively 5 resources in this game. There's money, because money makes the world go round, and apparently the spaceships go round too. There is marketing, because, I mean, I'm living it. Then there are 3 other types of resources. There is food, because people want to eat while they're in space. They'd like to breathe, I imagine. So there is oxygen, and lastly, there is fuel as well. All right, so those are the 5 resources in the game, and we have a resource accumulation area down here. We have the various actions that we can take. There are 12, and these are randomly put out here. So you can see this one could have ended up there, it could have ended up there, but again, it randomly, i.e. no, I chose this, ended up putting them where they are. We have an expert space over here in the middle of the board. This expert space is, let's try that again, is there, and whenever we get experts or additional super workers, kind of, they get a little bit of a bonus there. We have the company goals over here on the left-hand side. These company goals are going to help push the timer of the game. So all of this space up here is the company goal, is the timer of the game. We have a reputation track down here at the bottom. Reputation is good. You can spend it. You can use it to your benefit. And finally, let me show the company goals a little bit. These are interchangeably, so these 3, again, were randomly chosen here. And the timer of the game is all of these little cube spots up there. And finally, we have the marketing over here on the left-hand side, which is also going to be where we're going to be acquiring tourists. All right, so with all that said, on a given turn, we are going to, I'm going to move my expert out of the way for this temporarily. Your turn consists of some mix of steps 1, steps 2, and steps 3. Step 1's, or step 1, singular, is advancing a shuttle. When you've launched a shuttle and it's in space, do stuff. We'll circle back to that a little bit later. Then, in step 2 is really the meat of the game. Step 2, you're going to be able to do one of 3 things. The majority of the time is you're going to assign a worker. So you're going to take one of your available workers. Everybody starts with 2 of them to begin the game. They can acquire 2 others. That expert and this expert, which actually will live right there. So you will assign a worker out there, and you will take 2 individual actions, as you can see right there. Then, or in lieu of that, I should say, you may launch a ship using one of your workers as the pilot. The third option is to call a meeting, and that is Concordia-esque, is, hey, I'm out of workers, i.e. cards, whatnot. You have no workers to place, or you wish to just recall the workers. You recall the workers and do some stuff. The third thing that you may do on your turn after doing one of those is accomplish a company goal. Apparently I can't talk at 10 in the morning. I apologize. So advance a shuttle, then take one main action, and then maybe you might accomplish a company goal. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this part of the game, which is the meat of the game. The first thing is placing a worker out there and then taking two actions. So if we go out there on the main board, you'll see that there are 12 available actions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Each spot coincides with a worker placement spot. So if we weren't streaming, we would have it like standing up like that. But as it is, we are streaming, so we're just going to lay them down so y'all can see them out here. All right? So what are the available actions? I'm going to remove that one temporarily. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about these. We'll start up here. This one is our gears, or what we call gears. The technologies. Here we go. Let's try this. There you go. Building a development. I will get the verbiage right today. Developments. Everybody on their board has 9 developments available. This is also going to be the limiter on your player board for your resources. At the beginning of the game, you can only hold 2 of a given resource, be it food, oxygen, or fuel. But if you would like to be able to store more, you need to put out these developments out there on the board. To do so, the cost is down below. A development costs some number of money, 5, 6, or 7 respectively. You always go left or right. There's no reason to not, plus it's in the rules, you have to. So you're either going to, some mix of money you will spend and or the same resource that it requires. So if it stores food, you spend food to be able to put that out, or some mix of money, as I mentioned already. When you do so, you take the leftmost available of them. Let's go ahead and say go-go juice, i.e. fuel. When you do so, you have a large selection of choices from which you can place out here. You can place in between any of these buckets, if you will, of various actions. So if I wanted to, say, put it right there, I can do so. Anytime you see that little star, that star means the reputation track, so you advance 1 on the reputation track. Hey, cool, all right, easy enough. If there is already someone's gear or someone's development, I'm going to call them gears as we play, out there, you obviously won't get the benefit. However, you have room for 1 per player out there. All right, easy enough. Now, there are also technologies up there at the top of the board. These are cool little rule breakers that if you have a gear, you can go ahead and play, or you can do whatever it is. Hey, whenever you launch, you require 1 less food, 1 less fuel. All blueprints cost 1 less to build. Okay, awesome. So wherever this is, you can always put out a development wherever you choose. So as long as there is space available, there is no reason to ever have something like that. So you will not. There is only 1 segment. The benefit of placing it out here on the board down there between the actions is whenever you place your worker out there, you may take 2 actions I mentioned. You can do that twice. You could do each of those once, or if you have a development out there, you can do 1 of those or 1 of those. Or, because I have a development, I could do both of those in lieu, or I could do that twice. You get the idea. It's as if you went to that spot, all right? However, if, give me 1 of your workers. There we go. let's say Shrey chose to go there, all right? To be able to do the same thing, he needs one of two things. He either needs one of his developments out there. Now he can do the same thing for free, or in lieu of that, he can always just, straight up pay me. So if he chose to do so, it would cost whatever his marker is on the reputation track. Try that again. You'll notice on the reputation track, this is the cost associated with those resources. 2, 1, or 0. It's wherever your marker is. So even if my marker is all the way up there, my rep, if Shrey's is down here, he's still going to owe me $2 to be able to use my gear to take those actions. So literally, he would just pay me, and okay, awesome, great. But let's say he had already placed one of those out there. Cool, awesome. In that case, Derek, if he ended up going to one of those locations, in that case, he can do those just like normal, or he can do those. You might be asking yourself, how much is that going to cost Derek? Is it going to cost him $2? No! It is going to cost him $2 per player that has a gear there. So that's $4. In other words, you ain't doing that.
Oh, you're really
desperate to do it. Right. All right.
And the gray. The gray you pay the bank.
Oh, yeah, and the gray you pay the bank. So if, the feasibility is there, it's just a matter of cost. All right, so that is building a development. The next one we'll talk about is acquiring ships. So we're going to bounce around a little bit over here. So acquiring ships is pretty straightforward. So to acquire a new shuttle or a new ship, there are 5 available out here. You choose one group. I said 5. There are 4. I can't count. I can't talk. I can't do anything today. So you choose one group of any of the shuttles, and you take it. It costs nothing to take it. In fact, quite the opposite. You get the bottom of it. So, hey, get $2 and get one resource of your choice. Okay, easy enough. It's worth -5 points if you have not launched that ship by the end of the game. And then it's going to have some amount of scoring up there in the shuttle nose, depending on when it launches. And at the end of the game, you're going to score. Not only are you getting rid of the -5 points, but you also are going to hopefully score some positive points as well. So you take it, put it over into your area, and then we will immediately refill from the ones that are off board. Okay? All right. So next, we'll go and talk about extra workers. Extra workers, right here. To hire extra workers or expert workers, you have a couple of options. So you have 2 expert workers. You have one there and you have one here. The one here says it's going to cost you $3 times each one of these little markers that you still have there. So right now it would cost me a total of $12. But as the game advances, you're going to be able to remove these from there, and it's just going to make it cheaper to hire that expert. All right? However, the other one sitting over here, he says it's going to cost him $2 for each development for food and oxygen that is left. So at the beginning of the game, it's there are 6 developments. It's going to be $12 to be able to hire this worker. But as you build these, it's going to get cheaper. Now it would only be $6, so on and so forth, like that. Okay? All right. So that is hiring workers. The next one we're going to talk about is resources. Well, you need resources to be able to launch ships. There are a plethora, Hefe, of ways to get resources in this game, but the 2 main ways that you're going to be able to acquire them is, first off, up here. Pay $1, get 2 resources of your choice. Food, oxygen, or go-go juice, aka fuel. You can do that one time. In addition to that, you may pay $1 and get 2 marketing, because let's face it, marketing and advertising, that makes the world go round. So you can do each of those once or neither. Up to you, okay? Easy enough. Down here, you have gain resources. Gaining resources has to do with this track right over there. So this track starts at 2. There are 2 resources available in the garage, is as I like to put it. So let's go there. There we go. Whenever you get this action, you get any 3 resources that are available. If you want 2 go-go juice and 1 fuel, you can do so. Awesome. If it's not there, you can't take it. But you can take any 3. It's your choice, provided they are available. And while we're down here talking about gaining resources, let's go ahead now talk about refilling the silo. So the silo right here, refilling these bad boys. To be able to do so, pretty simple in that case, is wherever these are, go ahead and bump them up. You're going to choose one of the resources to go to 5. So let's say it had ended up being like this. And I say, hey, I want to go ahead and choose food for whatever reason. Food was already here at the 1. It would be $1, $2, $3, $4 that I would get. And in addition to that, I would get a reputation. If it were that, I would have gotten $5. You get the idea, etc. Okay? So that is refilling the silo. In addition to that, to be able to do so, we have agenda cards. So agenda cards, and we'll talk about these here in a minute, you must discard an agenda card to take that action. All right? And it shows that right there. So discard an agenda card and then refill the resources. So speaking of the agenda cards, let's go ahead, come on over, and we'll talk about those a little bit. Agenda cards are all overpowered, and they're all awesome.
All of them awesome.
Some are more awesome early, some are more awesome late, but they're awesome.
Yes.
It's just a matter of...
Time dependent.
Exactly. So, a couple of things on these agenda cards. It has the name of the card. It has whenever you can use the card, so whenever you're getting blueprints, for example, whenever you take a coffee break, whenever you launch ships. So there's that, and then, hey, here's that awesome thing that it does. Cool. There are 4 at most available at any one given time. There's also a discard pile. Discard pile is also available whenever you acquire the cards, but you're going to have to spend a reputation to get one of those. In addition, there is a resource down here in the bottom left. When you acquire these cards, and you know what? Let's go ahead and talk about that right now. Hey, getting agenda cards. All right, cool. To be able to get those, you get 2 of them. Hey, I want that card, and hey, I want that card. So let's say that one was already up there, and this one here, maybe that one's gone. I say, hey, I want this one, and I want that one. This one is free to take. This will cost me a reputation, so I would drop down 1 on the reputation track. Okay, easy enough, and I would take that one. There is a rule about if I had just discarded this one or played this one for whatever reason, I cannot then take that one. But as it is, you take it into your hand and then you play it with the associated action whenever it makes sense. Or, in lieu of that, at any time you can discard a card for the resource that's shown in the bottom left-hand corner. So they're kind of gentle multi-use cards in that case. All right? So that is acquiring agenda cards. Now, you might be asking yourself, Self, there are 4 spots, but you didn't have 4 choices. You only had 3, well, 4 if you count that, but I digress. Do these refill at the end of your turn? No, they do not.
Do not.
Because you have to go to that location to refill the agenda cards. To refill the agenda cards, pretty simple process. Any cards that are missing, so these 2 in this case, you get whatever is pictured. Get a buck, get an advertising. Awesome, cool. And then the existing cards get discarded, and then you refill those 4. If all 4 are gone, you get all 4 benefits. If none are gone, you just wipe them and then put the new ones out, and I'll have Shrey work on that while we get going. So that is the agenda cards. All that makes sense? Good?
Yep.
All right. So we've acquired a ship. We've gotten some resources, maybe some agenda cards. But you know what we need? We need spots to hold tourists. To be able to do that, you need to acquire blueprints. The blueprints are these bad boys right there. When you go there, you may acquire 2 blueprints from any of those that are available. To do so, it's free to take it. So it has a number of different information on them. So let's go ahead and look at those a little bit closer. So it has, when you build it, not now, but when you build it, the cost and the points that you're going to get on the left-hand side. It shows what kind of space event or activity is going to be taking place, and which type of tourist is going to enjoy that the most and benefit from it the most. There are 3 different colors. There are purple, orange, and green, and those all, yeah.
I mean, who doesn't want a bouncy house outside in zero gravity?
Personally, I want the roller coaster park in 0 gravity. That's what I want, but I digress. When you take them, they're free to take. You take 2 of them, and then after the action, they will refill automatically. Well, technically, they will slide down and refill. So you do not pay anything. And when you take them, technically, they're going to go to the right side of your board. But because space issues and streaming, I'm going to put mine there. Derek will put his. Shrey will put his off to the side. You get the idea. All right. So now that you have these blueprints, you might be thinking to yourself, wow, that'd be awesome to, have them on my ship. Well, to do that, you come up here and you build blueprints. So let's say, for argument's sake, I own these 3. These are over there sitting on my board. To be able to build blueprints. A moment, let me get something to drink. All right, building blueprints or shuttle segments. You may build 2 of them to do so. So if I have these 3, let's say I want to go ahead, or better yet, let's say I have those 4 from previous actions. They're over here on my board. I want to build this one, and I want to build that one, let's say. That is going to cost me a total of $6, as you can see there, and it's going to get me 4 points later on, or when I build it, sorry. There we go. At the beginning of the game, that will flip over because we will have gotten all of our normal stuff. We get our blueprints and we add them to our ship. When we add them, flip it over, as simple as that. And you'll notice that when you do this, you now have a full spot for 1 tourist or 1 passenger to ride. That is not a full spot. That is not a full spot. This currently may hold a single passenger. But if you were on a subsequent action to come in here and add 1 more segment, you'll notice that you can hold 1 more passenger as well for a total of 2 passengers. You can hold 3 segments in a ship unless you have a rule breaker that we'll talk about later. So this can then hold 2 passengers. So it's ready to rock and roll, but it's got nobody to make use of it. So we have talked about now most of the actions out here. There are 2 left. The first one is scheduling a cruise. To schedule a cruise, we need to come over here into marketing. The first thing is we're going to take our cruise consultant and we're going to find out which cruise we choose to take, or we're going to sell, if you will. So let's say, looking at our current cruise, maybe I wish to go ahead and market that one, so I'm going to sell that cruise. So your cruise consultant goes on there, and then you're going to get an upgrade token from your launch tower. So taking a look, your launch tower is this bad boy. So you're going to have any of those that you wish. You're going to take whatever the bonus is for marketing, for resources, a victory point, $1, etc., etc. Let's say, you know what, I want to go ahead and get more resources. I'm going to get that. I'm going to flip that over like so. That is going to score me some points later on, but I get the bonus for that right now done. That is scheduling a cruise. It's that simple. Now, why do you care about that? This cruise is locked into you. Only you can take it. It's first come, first serve. Nobody else can take this cruise. Okay? The final action is actually advertising for the cruise right here. And that is getting peeps to sign up for that awesome cruise that you have planned. So to do so, you're going to now acquire some passengers. Now you want passengers that match the color of the activities that are on your ship. So I could, for one advertising, for one marketing advertising token, I could attract one of those tourists. For 2, one of those, and for 3, this will conveyor and we'll move this once we actually launch. So we have a green activity here. And so that activity, I say, you know what? I want to go ahead and attract that tourist. So that tourist can go ahead and come on over there. But again, if you remember, we now have room for 2. So you know what? Why don't we grab another one? And let's go and grab a purple there. So that is going to cost us a total of 3 marketing or 3 advertising, if you will. And then you're going to gain money and you're going to gain reputation from it because they're booking these cruises. So they are going to pay for each guest is going to gain for each destination on the cruise. So there are 2 guests, 1 destination, that's going to be $2. So $2 from the bank. Okay. The second thing is you're going to gain reputation for each matching guest. So it's going to be 1 rep and 2 money because there is 1 family going on there and there is I think a leisure
a
relaxation passenger as well. But had it been that instead, those 2 green ones, then it would be 2 and 2.
Yeah.
Okay? All right.
It'd be all family.
All right. So that's it. Ready to rock and roll. So those are all the available actions that you can take in the game on your turn. Again, you're going to take 2 of the actions, either 1 or both of those once or twice respectively, or you'll come over if you have any developments and be able to take additional options. But again, you're going to take 2 actions on your turn. But then, maybe in lieu of doing that, instead of placing, there we go. Instead of placing workers out there, you can choose to launch a ship. I'll circle back to that in a moment. The last thing you can do is call a meeting. Call a meeting is recall your workers. If you have all your workers out here for whatever reason, you've taken actions, hey, I don't have anybody on my board to bring back, you have to call a meeting. Or maybe one's in space out there partying, and the other is out here on the board. If you can't place workers, you can't take the action. And if you can't launch a ship, then you have to call a meeting. Or maybe I just have 1 worker out there and I wish to call a meeting. Okay. To call a meeting, grab that worker, comes back. And you'll see this break symbol or income symbol. That means you get any 1 income hand. And that is all these. You get any 1 of those. If it's flipped over, guess what? You don't get that one. So if you look, I could get a buck, a marketing, or a point. These do not have that hand symbol, so therefore you can't do it. So that's how you get your workers back. Obviously, if they're in space, they stay in space.
Yep.
All right. So now let's go ahead and circle back. There. I would like to launch a ship. This is a pretty involved process, but I'm going to briefly go through all of it.
You get an action.
Oh, yeah. Apologies. In addition, sorry, whenever you call a break, you also get one action. And that action is going to be anywhere that you have that is attached to your development, meaning I would get either of those, or one of those four, as it were. If I have multiple developments out there, then
Choose.
All right, so now getting ready. Hey, I want to launch a ship instead of placing workers. To launch a ship, it's a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to launch. All right. So there's a pre-flight checklist. There are 4 steps to that pre-flight checklist. First off, have I sold a cruise? In other words, do I have my consultant out there? Yes. Awesome. Do I have an available shuttle with at least one spot available? Yes. Do I have access to the resources? Let's imagine I did. Okay? And finally, have I sold to guests, or do I need to do so immediately? All right. So one last thing. That marketing step, so being able to sell it to guests, this is optional. In lieu of doing that, now, you're getting money and you're getting reputation. In lieu of that, you can be like, you know what? Hey, bargain basement, we got everything's got to go. So, hey, all you do is you just straight up pay the advertising cost. If there's nobody there, you can always spend for advertising for a customer.
Yes.
But you just spend it, you take the matching, and you put them into your ship. You get no benefit. In other words, or right now, you get no money, you get no rep for doing that.
No booking benefit.
So that is the pre-flight checklist. Once that is done, now there are 5 steps that you're going to go through for launching a shuttle. The first thing is place the scheduled cruise above the ship. Okay, cool. So literally, that cruise is going to come over and physically go over on top there. Cruise consultant is going to go back, and your peeps are going to come into the ship like that. All right. At this point is when you do the last minute sale. Okay, they're loaded up, they're ready to rock and roll. Cool. All right, that's step 5, or 5 seconds from countdown, or from launch, if you will. The 4th is placing a progress cube. So if you look over here at the company goals, right above it, we have progress cubes over here that match up with our company goals. In addition to that, everybody has a supply of these cubes. Take one from the supply and add it in there. Okay? This is, again, the timer for the game. That is step 4 over here on the launch. Then, pay your resources is step 3. Hey, for every person on the ship, you need to pay 1 food. That includes the pilot. He would like to eat. So, in our example, that's going to be a total of 3. Then, every module, every segment requires an oxygen. That's going to be, again, your pilot also. No, I'm sorry. It is only the 3 segments. 1, 2, 3. So that would be 3 segments there. And then it is going to be fuel. The fuel cost is shown at the top. So this one's only going to cost 2 fuel. Okay. You pay all of your resources from here. If you don't have those resources, did I mention at any time for your cards, you can discard the card for the resource that's shown on it, discard it, and boom, you get that resource. In addition to that, over on the reputation track, oh no, I'm 1 fuel short. Okay, you can always spend it to go past that to the next lowest. Well, if I were there, in that case, I would actually drop that to go to there. You can do that for money, for advertising, and all of that stuff. All right? All right. So, we are now through step 3 of launch. Step 2, get points, which I hear is important in this game. because it's the goal of the game. So what that's going to be is you don't get 5 points, you just don't lose 5 points. So I guess it's gaining in a sense. And then you are going to score 1 point for every segment in your ship. 1, 2, 3. Hey, I would score 3 points. And then you will flip that over and you'll notice that, hey, all right, now everything matches up. Awesome, cool, all right. And once you have done that, the step 1 is going to be, try that again, add the one that you flipped into the engine. Okay.
The cargo.
Yes. So bringing that over, that will go there. In addition to that, you need a pilot. So one of your workers is then going to load up there into the pilot, and boom, you have launched. Congratulations. Now, to circle back, at the beginning of your next turn, you are going to do steps, depending on where you are in space. We'll talk about those when we actually get there. And the very last thing of launch, and these are prototype boards, they've since added this over on the actual production boards, is we need to refill that. So we would get a new one there, and we're going to get new passengers or new tourists. How many stops are on there? There's 1. So on the existing that just left, that is 1. So that's going to get...
It's 2.
Were there 2?
Yeah, there's 2 passengers.
Oh, I took 2. You're right. And the color of the passengers are the new one. Here, that will go 1 there. And that, I'm sorry, that'll go...
They go to the top, yeah.
Yeah, they go there and there.
And then things will...
And then all of the green ones will have dropped down. So there and there, like so. All right. We'll fix that when we get started. That is launching a ship. Like I said, the very first step, you're going to move in space and then take one of the actions. You can have multiple ships in space at the same time if you have multiple ships. Carry on doing that. And finally, the very last thing that you're going to do on your turn are the company goals. Company goals, when you've met them, this is the amount required depending on what it is. The first player to launch 2 ships. The first player to have 6 modules or 6 segments built into their ships. And the first player to have sets of developments built on the board, both on the track as well as for the bonuses up top. So 2 complete sets. The first player to do so is going to take whichever of their ones that they did. Let's say, you know what, Derek was the first to launch 2 ships. So he is going to take this marker and add it on there. He obviously will have had other markers out there. When this gets full, at the end of that player's turn, we're going to have a scoring round. We'll cover that when we actually get there. So we score it, and then we go into filling the next one. And as we fill these, this is the timer of the game. When the third one gets filled, we're all going to take 1 additional turn, do some other stuff, and then we go into scoring. Final scoring. We will do a final scoring there, and then final scoring, whoever has the most points wins. That's good enough. Go ahead. What?
We've got to tell people what happens with the shuttle in space, though, right?
What do you mean?
This step.
Yeah, we'll do it when we get there,
Okay,
I said.
okay.
Yeah, I mentioned that. Yeah.
All right, good.
Good enough. It's running long. Let's get started. Give me an hour to reset the board down. No, help me out of here.
Yeah.
I imagine you guys... Oh, I did not mention the variant also that we're playing with. So the variant is we're using a 4th player. Oh, I didn't talk about bumping workers. Good Lord. When a worker is out here, if you have your worker out there and it gets bumped, it just comes back and you immediately get the one-time or the bonus, the income bonus for having done for having placed your worker out there or brought them back. Good Lord. Never again, 10 a.m.
There we go.
All right, cool. All right, let me fix my board. That goes there. You have my starting ship. I appreciate you. We still need a couple of things for setup that we will go over. Probably ought to reset those. That we'll figure out that number here in a minute. That one will go to the left of that. That should probably come back. Is there anything else that y'all can see? Let me have the rule book.
I think you got everything.
So anyway, the variant. It's an extra one. It's going to go around. It's going to bump players that are there, and will eventually upgrade to the expert one. You want to mention it?
Yeah, when we get to after the first scoring, we'll bump it to the expert one. So yeah, and then when if someone goes to the location where the expert is, that's where the green worker is. It'll move to the next space, unless it's the same player who bumped the worker. In which case, we'll just keep going. It may bump it may bump an opponent's pawn.
Which will allow extra bumping.
Yeah.
Randomized turn order?
Yep.
Hey, thanks for watching, y'all. Hopefully watching was as enjoyable for y'all as it was for us making it. And if so, then maybe look right above my head, like and subscribe, that helps. Maybe watch one of those other videos. Consider supporting us over on Patreon. All of those things really do help the channel. Thanks, y'all.